Hello! This video from the Computer Department Incorporated will go over the loan information in the Accounts tab in DLS Financials. When you first get logged into DLS, you will arrive at the main menu with the Accounts tab selected. The top of the screen you will see your organization name with the name of the data file below it. On the far right you could see two different icons. The top one indicates that you have the DLS online module and the green frame around it. It may take a few seconds to turn green, but if it stays on red, it means that there is a problem with the connection to DLS Online that will prevent you from uploading the data. To figure out which end the problem is at, check to see if you can get onto the internet. If you can, then the issue is with our DLS Online server, and we request that you contact us if that happens. If you double-click on the DLS Online icon, you will trigger an immediate upload of the current DLS data file to DLS Online if you have permission. The second possible icon is the Docs module. This means that the functions for attaching documents and scheduling transactions are available in this version. Since the initial menu item visible is Accounts, then you will see a blank form for deposit accounts. Most of the buttons are disabled because an account has not been selected to be worked on. There are three ways to select an account depending on your DLS Financials configuration. DLS default setting is to look up a location that has a deposit, loan, or invest account with a balance from the drop-down list. Entering the location lookup number will bring up the top of the matching locations list. If you can't find the location you want, it could be because it doesn't have any accounts with balances. In that case, check the All Locations box next to the field, and the list will have all locations. Once you select a location, then the default account for the account type that you are working in will fill into the form below. But another option that could be configured in the DLS Financials configurations, under the Configure tab in the Account Maintenance section, is to have this lookup be set to only look but account numbers. By selecting Account in the field, you will change this field to Account Lookup. When you select an account, it will select not only the account but the location record as well. When you first open the program, the default account type will be Deposit. So before looking up an account, make sure you're set the correct account type for the account you are looking for. Since this is training for loans, click on the loan account type before you look for your loan account. If you are not sure what the location or the account number is, then you can click on the Location Lookup button, which will bring up this location search form. In here you can enter any series of alphanumeric characters into the Find field that you feel will be in the location's name, address, city, or lookup number. When you see the location that you want in the shorter list, then double-click on the location to have the account form fill in with the data for the location's default account. You can also highlight the location in the list and click on the Select button below to select the location to be filled in. If you decide that you don't want to change the location, then click on the Close button to return to the account form. The data that you will see in the loan account type is the following. Above the tabs you will see the location number with the location name following it. Below the tabs you will see the account number followed by the name of the account. If there is a sub-description of the account, you will find it just below the account number and main description. To the right you will find the type of loan account that this one is. This example is a simple interest loan account, but it will say amortized, simple amortized, fixed principal, or pay ratio depending on the loan type. Next is the current principal balance, and then the interest balance. The interest balance will be calculated to the current date if it is not an amortized loan, and the As of Today label will not be there. If an error occurs while trying to calculate the additional interest, you will get message. The interest balance shown then will just be the balance after the last transaction entered, and the As of Today label will not be there. If the account has any capitalized interest, then the total of that interest will be next. Not all loans will have capitalized interest. The field to the right of the capitalized interest will hold the actual principal balance. This is the loan balance minus the capitalized interest. Once the principal balance is paid, Then the loan balance is any capitalized interest that has not been paid yet. In the next row is the current interest rate as of today. If you have done an interest rate change in the future, then that rate will be in this field even though that day has not arrived yet. To the far right is the month and year that the account was last closed. The bottom half of this section you will see the general comments about this account. You can scroll through them if there is more than can fit in the visible area. Below the comments is the user ID of the last person to save the information in the account record. This means that they opened the account and changed settings that were in the form and saved it. If you have the Docs module, you will see the number of documents in the account record to the left of the Attach Documents button, where you will be able to add digital documents to the loan account itself. You must be in the Account Information tab in order for this button to add documents to the current account. When you click on the button, the form will open with the information about the loan account at the top. If there are no documents, or you click on the Attachments button between the arrow buttons, you will be taken to this form where you can add more documents. Remove the highlighted document, open the document in the associated application, or save the highlighted or all the documents to a location on your hard drive. Clicking on the Add button, you will get an Explorer screen to search and select the file that you want to bring into the data for the record. If you highlight any document in the list to the left, you will turn on the other buttons that allow you to do other functions with the document. The Remove button will remove the document from the record. Or click on the Open button to open the document in the associated program on your workstation. If you edit the document while it is temporarily on your computer, you will be asked if you want to save the updates to the record in DLS. If you don't, then the record in DLS will not contain the changes that you made. The other two buttons are to make a copy of the documents on your computer and let the originals remain in the record. If you later open those copies and make changes, they will not be updated to the location record but only in your workstation. None of the changes will be official until you click on the OK button of this form. Doing so will complete the addition, removal, and edits that you may have done to the documents in the record. If you decide to not save all those changes, click on the Cancel button. Back at the document form, you can click on the Close button to exit the form and go back to the loan record. There is more information about the account in the other two tabs. You are currently in the Account Information tab, but if you click on the Terms tab, you will see the comment field that holds the description of the terms that this account may have. This is typically a written description of the settings in the account record itself, dealing with interest, and how it is calculated and dispersed. You will not be able to see any online comments in this area. To see those, you must go into the actual account record. In the last tab named Transactions, you will see the list of current transactions for the account, with the newest one at the top and highlighted. The fields in the form will be filled in to show the values in the currently highlighted transaction. The first field is the transaction amount, which will be the sum of the principal and interest amounts below it. To the right, you will see a black box, which has the post status of the transaction. Posted means that it is locked and can't be changed, where unposted means that it could change before being posted and locked down. Below the transaction amount is the principal portion of the transaction. If this is a loan increase or a principal-only payment, this amount will be the same as the transaction amount. The left interest field is the amount of interest paid in this transaction, where the right interest field is the amount of interest that was calculated between the last transaction and this one, except for amortized loans. If both transactions were the same date, then there will be no interest accumulation on any transaction after the first one for the day. With amortized loans, the interest calculation is what was in the schedule for this payment, and is on a separate transaction from the payment transaction. To the right, you will see the interest rate that was used to calculate the interest, and then the effective date of the transaction. Effective date is the date that the transaction interest is using to calculate interest, and the sort order uses to keep the transaction in order it was entered. The transaction date below the effective date is up to you to define. Some dioceses use this field for the postmark date of the request, others the date it arrived. a few the date that it was entered, and most it is the same date as the effective date. If the user entered the check number from a loan, it will be seen in the field to the left of transaction date. The field description comment is used to describe the transaction. It is the only field that is not locked down 100% after the transaction is posted. You have about 60 days after the effective date to see the button Edit Description, which, when clicked, will bring up a form with the current description and allow you to change the descriptions of transactions that you entered and not system transactions. System transactions start with an asterisk. Balance after transaction fields are the principal balance of the account, and to the right is the interest balance after the transaction was made. These fields are used to look up the balance at any moment during the life of the account. If transactions are entered for an earlier date, these numbers will change, just like the interest accumulation may change, because the balances have changed. The last row of fields show the user that last edited this transaction before it was posted or changed the description after it was posted. The daily post has no effect on this field. It was the person that opened the edit form and made changes and saved them. If you have the Docs module, you will see the number of attached documents there are for the highlighted transaction. The button to the right is just like the same button on the Account Information tab, but it will attach the documents to the transaction that is highlighted. This is done in the exact same way as described before in the Account Information chapter. Now that we have covered the information that is shown for all loan types, you will need to go to each of the different loan types you will be using to learn what the different functions are along the right side of the form and what they do for each loan type. To help you decide just which loan types you may use in DLS Financials, let's go through the features of each one and how the interest is computed and repayment is managed. The first loan type is simple interest. This is typically a line of credit, like a credit card or a building loan, where the funds have been approved to be given out, but the funds are drawn over a period of time. Interest is calculated with each transaction entered, and there is no fixed payment amount that the location needs to pay each month, as long as they pay their interest balance each month. You can invoice or print a billing for the interest balance at the end of each month to provide them. The next loan type is amortized loans. This is more like a mortgage or car loan, where there is a schedule of the principal and the interest that is computed into the schedule that you give them. They are to pay the same amount each period, and the interest accumulated will be what is shown in the schedule. Extra principal can be made to the loan at any time. There is also the ability to allow interest-only payments rather than the mandatory payment. This loan type is strict, that the only payments that can be made is the standard payment due, extra principal payments, and if configured, interest-only payments. Any other payment that doesn't fit these three will not be allowed. Simple amortized loans are simple interest loans with a suggested payment schedule. It is called a suggested payment schedule because the interest is calculated like in the simple interest loan, from transaction to transaction. There is a required payment due each period, and the schedule will show that, but the interest in the schedule will only be true if they make the required payment only, and on the exact date that the schedule says to pay it. Any extra principal, late payments, early payments, or other situations will cause the printed schedule to be wrong over time. You are able to recalculate the suggested schedule to bring it up to date with the current balance of the loan. Fixed principal is a loan type that provides the most flexibility for the DLS user. With this loan type, it can be used as both a building loan and a mortgage loan without the need to change loan types between the two loan types. As a building loan, the user can set it up to require no principal payment and will invoice the interest balance at the end of each period for the location to pay on. When the building is completed and the loan needs to be mortgage, the user simply needs to enter the amount of principal that now needs to be paid each period, and at the end of each period, an invoice will be created for that fixed amount of principal and the interest balance at the end of the period. The amount of required payment will slowly go down as less interest is computed. Pay ratio is the newest loan type. This loan type requires that the user enter the amount of principal they are to receive and the amount of interest they are to pay during the term of the loan. The system computes the ratio between the two, and when a payment is made, the principal and interest are both paid based upon that ratio. The interest computer is the ratio of interest that the payment will pay. So like amortized loans, the interest accumulation happens when the payment is made. Thank you for watching. If you need more information about the loan types to know which you will use, need to get more detailed training, feel that this video needs to be more detailed or is missing information in any area, or you still have questions about managing your loan accounts in DLS Financials, please contact DLS Support at 217-697-00105 extension 5 or email support@dlsfinancials.com.